In this video, I'm going to be telling you exactly step by step how you can file your own trademark. We're going to go over exactly what a trademark is, what it protects, and the most cost-effective method for actually filing one, and whether you need one in the first place. So, starting off, what exactly is a trademark? At its core, a trademark essentially is a logo, a word, a phrase, something that is distinctive for one specific company that needs to be protected to make sure that it's distinguishable from that of another company. When you hear the phrase, "I'm loving it," what company do you think of? McDonald's. That's right. It's an easy, brandable name that is completely trademarked. If I tried to make my company's brand slogan, "I'm loving it," I would be hearing from McDonald's lawyers. Other examples of this include the Nike logo, the swoosh, the "just do it" phrase, but it's not just the big companies that are engaging in this. It's also some of the ones that you might not think about. For example, if you've ever been on a website where there's some sort of development going on, whether it's design or development, and you see a little tab that says Dev Mode, DEV space MODE. Well, if that site wasn't Figma, you're actually seeing trademark infringement at its finest, even though that company might be unknowingly committing trademark infringement. Because that's one of the reasons why you might want to actually file for a trademark in the first place, because it protects you and the specific intellectual property that you're trying to protect, regardless of whether the person who's infringing upon it actually knows they're doing so. If I go and start a rock climbing equipment store and I make my slogan, "Just do it," whether I know that I'm actually infringing on Nike's trademark or not, it doesn't matter. Nike, in all cases, is protected because they've gone through the right legal procedures to protect that specific brand slogan, because it's so brandable and because people typically recognize it with Nike. If I made my slogan, "I'm loving it," well, obviously people are going to say, "Hey, isn't that the McDonald's slogan?" And obviously McDonald's is going to be protected because that's been their slogan that's been trademarked for a number of years. But before we go into exactly how we can actually file our own trademark, let's talk about the few different types of trademarks that you need to understand before we actually get into it. Because depending on what goods you may be selling, services you might be selling, or the industry that you're in, this will determine what type of trademark you're going to actually need to file. There's not one, but actually three different classifications of trademark, and they are as follows. TM, which just stands for trademark. Then you might have seen that with the little TM with the circle around it next to a slogan or next to a logo or next to a specific product name. Next, there's SM, which stands for service mark. Again, you might have seen that next to a slogan or something else, depending on what it's actually doing. And finally, the third classification, just registered, which is just a little R in that same circle. In any case, it's typically very easy to recognize a specific trademark icon because we've come to associate those little tiny characters that are just in a circle next to the brand slogan or the brand title as being trademark affiliated. But the specific characters that are inside them actually show legally how those trademark classifications had been processed and what they had been classified under. At their core, a trademark is typically used for goods. And these are going to be things like slogans, brand names, titles, or product names, something on the good side that's actually going to be trademarked. SM, service mark, essentially means that it's the same sort of idea, but specifically for services. And if you're actually having a registered trademark, this means that you have much stronger legal protection. This is what you're going to see typically associated with much bigger companies. Like, for example, if you look to the McDonald's slogan, "I'm loving it," you will typically see an R next to it, because if anybody is actually going to be infringing on their trademark, McDonald's has strong legal protection against that person and can absolutely sue them into oblivion. But don't worry, we're going to show you exactly how you can avoid that in this video and talk a little bit more about what type of trademark you should be filing for, depending on what type of service or good you're providing. Overall, having a trademark for your business is going to protect it legally, whether you're protecting your logo, your slogan, or something else. Either way, it's going to provide you strong legal protection and make sure that your brandability stays with you and it can't be easily taken by your competitors. But I guess the real question is, how should we know if a trademark is taken and how exactly can we file a trademark? Well, let's get into it. So, to figure out if something that you're trying to trademark is already trademarked, what you're going to want to do here is come to USPTO.gov and go to this trademark dropdown. And then under the application process here, you're going to see Search Our Trademark Database. And we're going to go and click on this, and then we can see all of the relevant information about actually searching, applying for a trademark, etc. We're just going to go ahead and hit this trademark search system button here, and we're going to go ahead and search for words in trademarks, products, or owners. So let's say I wanted to make a company and I said, "It's just climbing, man," and I searched it. We can see here that there's a syntax error and it says no results found. So I could just say just climbing, man. And I could search it here, and we can see here we've got 11,451 results for just climbing man, just a dumb old lineman, stunt dating, pusher, power quick. We can see here the status of the trademark, whether it is currently active or canceled. And if I want to just look at the live, registered, or pending, and unselect all the dead ones, we can see here that there don't appear to be any trademarks that have been filed for just climbing man. But if I searched up something like McDonald's, for example, as you might imagine, as we can see here, there are a lot. And as we can see here, we've got different variations of the McDonald's slogan, the McDonald's logo here. We've got the specific M in black. We have the specific M with the McDonald's name here, McDonald's Classic. We have the different sign variations. These are all active. These are all active trademarks that are currently filed. And we even have Macting, Macaton, Makutin. And obviously, if I wanted to go ahead and choose any of these for my name, we can see here that the McDonald's Corporation in each different state that they have their trademarks filed in, these are the people who own the company. We can also search here just from general search to actually looking for the word mark, goods and services, owner, serial number, registration number, mark description, and field tag and search builder. So if we're wanting to look for something that we want to trademark, always looking in this database is a great way just to understand first if anybody has your company name. For example, when I first started my videography company as a teenager, I wanted to call my company just Glacier Studios. I liked the name. And it was pretty cool. But I found out right away after I was applying for my business that there was another company that had a similar name called Glacier Media. So I actually didn't end up doing that, and it took me a whole lot longer to get my business name approved. Again, not a trademark name, but my actual business name approved, just because I hadn't done the research ahead of time to see if anybody else had a similar name. And the same is true when it comes to trademarking. So making sure that somebody actually hasn't already trademarked what you want to trademark is a great first step in actually making sure that, well, you can trademark it, and it will save you so much hassle down the road. And obviously it would save you from having the heartbreak of applying for a trademark only to get rejected, and you don't get your application fee back when that happens. Now, when it comes to actually filing your trademark, Taylor Brands has put together a nice handy guide telling us exactly how we can do it. As it says here, avoid copycats, trademark your business. Don't let others take credit for what you've built single-handedly. Apply for a trademark today and run your business worry-free. Why is a trademark necessary? It goes over all the same things we've talked about: stop copycats, bulletproof your brand, and defend and enforce your rights. So how does the process of filing a trademark actually work? Well, first of all, you tell them about your business, you sit back and relax. Taylor Brands will actually submit your application to the USPTO on your behalf, and then you get your trademark. There's a few more steps and pieces of information to fill out, but it's really that simple. Just to give you a quick example here, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can trademark a business name, what's happening under the hood, just so that you're more informed and educated when it comes to actually filing your trademark, and more importantly, so that you can have the highest chance of getting approved. So how do you actually do it? Well, as we can see here, we know what the trademark is already, we know what it protects, we know what the benefits of trademarking a business name are: preventing copycats, legal action, universal protection, counterfeit protection, brand recognition, all of the things that we've talked about previously. It also talks about actually searching for existing trademarks. So if you're not in the US, you can actually go and use the Canadian Trademarks Database or the Australian Trademark Search, or if you're in the EU, the European Union Intellectual Property Office, to go ahead and search for trademarks. So this applies to anybody, not just in the US. So you can also actually start by just preparing your application here. And this is all the relevant data that the USPTO needs to actually know before they can approve your trademark. First of all, they need to know your personal information if you're applying as an individual, your citizenship, details about your business, what your mark's description is, what it covers, the different types of trademark applications. In this case, you have two particular choices when applying: a standard application and an intent to use application. Standard applications are for businesses that are already used, and an intent to use is a name that isn't currently in operation, but you intend to use in the future. This is different because if you already have an existing business that you want to trademark, that's going to be one application. And if you don't have a business yet, but you want to trademark something that, say, you haven't even revealed to the world yet, that is something completely separate. And you can see why there would be two different situations for that. If you already have a business and you want to trademark it, well, you just want to trademark it. Ideally, people already know about your business and what you have to offer. But if you've been working on something that's maybe a secretive technology or, a sauce or 11 herbs and spices that you want to trademark to the world before it gets out, that's an option. So you get the idea here. You have to identify the basis for your trademark application, including actual use in commerce, intent to use in business, or foreign registration, ideally just stating why do you need a trademark. The next thing you need to include is the specific trademark class. This is why we talked so extensively about the different classifications of trademark so that you can actually pick the right one here. The USPTO classes all trademarks relative to the goods or services they represent, and you must choose the correct class or classes for your mark. Otherwise, the USPTO will refuse your application here. If we go ahead and open this link, we can see these are the different trademark symbols that are used correctly, and there they are, TM, SM, and R. All of the ones we've talked about, the trademark symbols, what they actually mean, things like trademark being, as we talked about, the brand image, SM being a service image, and R just being an overall brand image that's going to be highly recognizable. Making sure that you have the right one here is critical, because if you apply for the wrong one, you could get denied, and that would suck. So going through and actually understanding where the symbols are going to be placed, whether it's for a name, word, or phrase, or if it's going to be for a logo or design, and how frequent you're going to be using it is going to be tantamount to actually making sure that you choose the right classification and, of course, actually get approved. So I'll include a link to all these resources down in the description below that you can read on the Taylor Brands website, just so that you can be informed on what exactly you need to do beyond what I'm just going to be explaining in this video. But with that being said, let's get back to actually applying for the trademark. And the last thing needed for our application here, the fee. Yes, it does cost money to actually apply for a trademark, and no, it's not as bad as you might think, but it still does take money to actually make sure that somebody can, review your trademark application. But if you're using Taylor Brands, ideally, you're going to be giving yourself the best opportunity to actually get approved here. And finally, actually applying for your trademark. You've got three options here: online, by mail, and by fax. Now, most people watching this video are probably going to apply online using the USPTO Trademark Electronic Application System. Now, you could go and use this directly, or you can use another system that actually gives you all of the benefits of understanding everything that is going into the actual trademark application as you're doing it. So that if something comes up in this application that you don't understand, well, you're going to go ahead and have all that information provided to you. We can see that we are currently examining new applications submitted between September 30th and October 14th, 2024. Yes, they take a long time to review trademarks. This, unfortunately, is a reality with trademarks, is that you aren't just going to apply for your trademark today and, 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, a month's time, or even 2 months' time get approved like that. No. Filing a trademark and getting approved for a trademark can take a long time. As we can see here, I'm currently filming this at the end of April 2025, and they are currently now just reviewing the end of September into October's trademark filings. That means all of the trademarks filed from the middle of October up until now haven't even been looked at yet. This is why it's critical to make sure that your application is the best it can possibly be. So let's get into exactly how you can do that. But before we get into just that, I do want to go over one more time, just because it is the absolute most important part of the reasons why the trademark can commonly get rejected. Because, I hate to hammer it home so much, but I also don't, because, I don't want your trademark to get declined after waiting so long. So what are the reasons? The first one, it's similar to an existing trademark. This is the reason why you have to make sure that your trademark is absolutely locked down and completely original. And if it is even a little bit close to something else, that you've done your consultations with trademark lawyers to actually make sure that you're not going to get your application rejected after waiting a long time. Secondly, it's too generic or descriptive. They don't grant trademarks to things that are too generic. You can't trademark Apple for apples. Apple Computer Incorporated is a big, big company. Those are specific company names that are highly recognizable. So when the name Apple or the Apple logo gets, actually trademarked, it's because of the fact that that is a highly recognizable brand. But if you're just trying to trademark the word Apple for apples, well, that's too generic and it's going to get rejected immediately. Of course, you can't trademark anything that's unethical. You can't trademark a geographical name. So if I tried to trademark the name Canada, or I tried to trademark the name the United States of America, that probably wouldn't go over very well, and my application would have a very low chance of getting approved. And finally, something that a lot of people don't consider is if it is a functional trademark, meaning that if your business couldn't possibly exist without that trademark, expect it to get rejected. Now, you might think that this is something that you don't need to really think about, but if you're telling the people that you're applying for the trademark with that if I don't get this trademark approved, my business will cease to exist, well, that's not very good grounds for you to actually get your trademark approved. Your business should be running and flourishing on its own, or whatever it is that you're trying to trademark should be working on its own, regardless of whether it gets approved or not. You're just doing the process of filing a trademark to make it so that you're protecting your brand's IP, whether that is the logo, whether that is the slogan. Ideally, at the end of the day, though, your business runs without it. This just provides an extra shield of legal protection against any sort of copycats. So how much does it actually cost? Well, when using a tool like Tailor Brands to add a layer of security so that Tailor Brands is actually searching USPTO to make sure that your trademark isn't too similar to something else, to provide you guidance on whether your trademark might be too generic, or helping you not get rejected, well, that comes with a fee of up to $299, and that just includes the USPTO, the filing of your application electronically, and the dedicated support from the team. Now, the second fee here is the USPTO government filing fee, which is $350 per class, which is directly to the USPTO. Now, this is a government filing requirement and is determined by the number of classes or products that you select when you're actually applying for a trademark. Now, if you don't want to use a tool like Tailor Brands and just want to directly apply to the USPTO, that's also an option for you as well. But just keep in mind that if you miss anything, if there are any mistakes or you don't select the right classification, those sort of things, there is a chance of your application getting rejected, which no one wants. So I always like to have that extra layer of due diligence, but you should know that this option is always here, and it's as simple as literally applying online. And as we can see here, it's going to go and make you verify your identity, get basic information filled out. Processing wait times are going to tell you exactly how long it's going to take. And you can go through all these steps here, such as the base application. So if we click on this, we can see here that all applicants must include that information that we talked about. All of the data here is related to actually what type of application you're applying with. So as you can see here, if it's a domestic partnership, if it's a sole proprietorship, if it does not claim standard characters, if it includes a mark in color, if it's not in English or includes non-English wording, these are all different things that are going to actually take into account how you're going to file your trademark. So if you have all this information ready to go, all you have to do is navigate to the Trademark Center and actually go ahead and actually apply. So if we hit this button here that says apply to register a trademark, it's going to open up the Trademark Center on USPTO.gov, and we can actually go ahead and create a USPTO.gov account. After that, the next step is going to be actually creating your USPTO.gov account with your information, your name, your street address, all that information, and your zip code. After you've got your account set up, then you can include your name, domicile address, legal entity, the citizenship, the filing bases that satisfy all the forms, the filing fee of $350, the verified statement that meets all the requirements as applicable, dated, and signed by the person properly authorized to sign on behalf of the owner, and correctly classified goods and services with identifications selected from the ID manual in the Trademark Center, which is just the legal way of saying make sure you're applying for the right trademark classification. So if you're comfortable with applying directly from the USPTO.gov website, that is definitely an option. Just know the legal jargon and technical jargon is going to be a lot more jargony and legally speaking, as opposed to something like Tailor Brands, which is a lot more cushioned, asks you for proper information, and although it does have a fee on top of the $350 fee that you would regularly pay, it also provides a lot more comfort in knowing that you've maximized your chances at getting approved as much as physically possible by actually having a system in place to make sure that you're applying all the correct information, classification for your trademark, etc. And there we go. Just like that, you now know everything there is to know about actually applying for a trademark, what's required, the different ways that you can actually do it, what type of registrations there are, trademark classifications, and if you even need to apply for one. So whether you're going to be actually going forward and applying for a trademark, or you just found this video informative, ideally you can go forward in the future knowing that your trademark is going to be approved and be as educated as physically possible. Again, I'll leave the links to all the resources I talked about today down in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching. My name is Josh Mountain, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.